Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Catholic Education Foundation podcast number 32. Our guests this week are retired General Counsel of Kindred Healthcare and newly appointed board chair of the Catholic Education Foundation, Mr. Joe Landon-Witch, and as always, the president of the foundation, Mr. Rich Lecklider. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you for being here.
Now, Joe, you got your hands full here, so you're following up Mr. Kenny McPeak.
Well, I can't compete with that, that's for sure. Yeah.
Hey, listen, fantastic podcast. We really appreciate his time last month. Really cool having him on and sharing his journey, and really cool having him as a member of the Catholic community.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a great job, and I second the motion. He's a really busy guy right now, and he literally came from the barn, did the podcast, went back. So.
Well, listen, it shows how important the mission is, right? And he knew it, and he wanted to do his part, and it was really cool having him on. But Joe, it's great to have you on the show. It's such an exciting time to be part of the foundation. We're so grateful for your leadership that you provide in helping make things happen for young families all over the Archdiocese. So I know you have deep roots in our Catholic Church here in Louisville. So tell us about yourself and about your family.
Sure. I'm one of 8 children. Grew up all in the Highlands, and all 8 of us went to St. James School.
Okay.
Which was quite an experience.
Rich knows a little bit about that place.
He knows a little bit about that place. My mom is a St. James graduate, and she was married in the church there.
Okay. Beautiful church.
It's a beautiful church. I met my wife at St. James.
Gotcha.
We were both classmates, and we ended up getting married at St. James. So I have a lot of ties to St. James. Left St. James and ended up at Trinity. I had 5 brothers that went before me.
Okay.
So that was kind of pre-planned that I would end up at Trinity, but obviously had a great experience there. My 2 sisters went to Presentation Academy.
All right.
My mom's a Presentation Academy alum, as is my wife, Kelly. So we have a lot of ties to those schools.
Deeply tied.
Deeply tied. And then both Kelly and I graduated high school in 1983 and ended up at Bellarmine University. I got a degree in accounting and then went to U of L for law school.
So you hit the trifecta there, the Catholic school all the way through.
I kind of touched them all, yes.
So tell us what that experience meant to you.
Yeah, it was a great blessing for me. I got a great education starting out at St. James. It was a really strong academic school, and that was kind of the beginning of my faith formation as well. And then, moved on to Trinity, and Trinity I was really challenged academically. Learned a lot at Trinity, was able to get a ton of college credits at Trinity. So when I started college, I was already a sophomore, which was a great financial thing for me to be able to skip a year of college.
That's awesome.
But, kind of just growing up in those environments and the teachers that cared about me, the things they taught me outside the classroom has really helped me, I think, be successful in life and also successful in my professional career.
So I have some Trinity questions I want to ask you here a little bit later. But first, let's talk about your family. I know you're from a very large family. Let's talk about some of the struggles and the challenges for your parents in providing a Catholic education for each of their children.
Sure. I grew up in a pretty modest family. 8 kids will make you make everything a little bit tight, as you can imagine. And so they did struggle to send all of us to Catholic grade school and Catholic high school. They made significant sacrifices to make that happen for us. And, during the time we were in high school, they also made us buy in. We all had to get part-time jobs to help pay for tuition and pay for books.
Yep.
So we were involved kind of in the process. But it truly was a sacrifice of them. And I know today it's still a sacrifice for many, many families to afford a Catholic education. And that's why the work that CEF is doing is so important.
Rich, you're one of 9 kids, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, you have to have some memories of how hard it was for your parents to make the Catholic education a reality for all of you and your siblings.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up at the St. Stephen Martyr Parish, and we all went to St. Steve, and the boys went to St. X, and the girls went to Sacred Heart. So, all 9 of us are college grads, thank God. To this day, I really don't know how my parents did that.
How they pulled it off.
Even, they passed away, and you go through their old financial records, and you go, how did we do this?
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
So Joe's spot on. I mean, everybody had to pitch in. Everybody had to work. But it really, the one thing it did, it was a common value within the family, so everybody bought into it and did it. And for us, I think it really brought our family closer together to this day, that experience in particular.
It makes perfect sense. And I know you've mentioned in the past, Rich, that your dad was, he was tough on you. He expected a lot. And then the Catholic education was part of that.
Yeah, he was a Catholic school kid. In fact, a St. James graduate. Believe it or not, Joe's mother and my dad were in the same graduating class.
How about that?
And my mother and his mother were best buddies at presentation way back in the day. Yeah, so lots of ties back there. But seriously, it's something that's really, really important. And I'm super thrilled Joe is chairing the board for the next 2 years. And we'll talk about what's going on there, but it's things are going well at the foundation.
Well, Joe, it sounds like you guys have some deep ties. Talk to us how your relationship with Rich got started.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. We actually met in Lamaze class.
Okay.
Both of our wives are
okay.
getting ready to have their first babies.
Right.
And so we met there, which was kind of unusual. I actually worked with Rich's wife for a few years before that. And then surprisingly, a couple years later, Rich recruited me to join Vencor, that then became Kindred. Mm-hmm. He was kind of the lead recruiting guy and talked me into jumping the ship and coming over there. And then we spent about 15 years or so together at Kindred. Had a lot of great times, some not so great, and a lot of light evenings working. But we had good time, became great friends.
So you guys worked together for about 15 years.
Yeah, our offices were next door to each other.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
So, and Joe was a young lawyer when he joined the company. I've been there maybe 6 months or something, and the company was growing pretty rapidly at the time. So we needed to recruit some folks. We were thrilled that he did. And really, I would say this, we're not only really good friends, but I would say Joe Landon, which is one of my best advisors I have in this whole world, he and Hank Robinson in particular. And we all worked together at Kindred, and that was a real source of strength for me. And my role as a CFO was a big deal.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So, Joe, what attracted you to join the foundation board?
Really, it's just my love for Catholic education. I benefited from it. My family and my kids have benefited from it. And it's very important for me to make that opportunity available to as many people as possible. And really, if you're trying to do that, CEF is the place to go. I can't think of an organization that would be better to be a part of and to support. And its mission to make this Catholic education experience as possible to as many people is really, really important.
It's really important. And it's one of those things where I've had kids that are going through the Catholic system currently, and I've had friends who send their kids maybe to the public schools, and it's, we want to be able to buy our boat or take our vacation, or we're worried about what high school Catholic education is going to cost, so we're not going to do the grade school portion. They're really missing out. And it's one of those things where, it's a sacrifice and it's a struggle for a lot of the families that do this, but it's a situation where your kids are just in an amazing community, and if you're not putting your kids in that situation, you're really missing out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think for all three of us and our families, it's paid off enormously in many different ways, not just financially. And I would say, people use the word sacrifice, and certainly it was and it is.
Yeah.
But the better word, I think, is investment. Because I think that the money you're going to invest in your kid, there's no better way to invest than a Catholic education. I can't think of a single one. And I think more and more people, particularly over the last few years, are kind of waking up to that. Yes, it's a relatively expensive venture. It is. But I think people are starting to realize the value that's derived from that experience. And we'll talk about our numbers a little bit later. The numbers in Catholic schools are growing. They ain't going down. They're going up. Mm-hmm. So while many families struggle, and we helped 3,700 kids last year, okay, that's over 2,000 families. The investment they can make in it, and the investment we kind of co-make with them.
Sure.
It is fantastic. The results are unbelievable.
So, Joe, you're heading into your 5th year on the board. Let's look backward first. What have you seen that makes you proud to be part of it?
Yeah, I think the thing I'm most proud of is we're really helping more students today. We have more people applying for financial aid, and we're giving more financial aid.
Right.
And that's really helping our schools grow. And we're growing in an environment which seems to me that the number of eligible students is really shrinking, but our Catholic schools across the Irish Diocese are growing. To me, that's the number one thing that makes me excited, the momentum that we have right now, and the momentum that we're helping the school system create. And then, really the second thing that I'm most proud of is it's a really strong board. And the board takes very seriously the mission of the foundation and also their responsibility to be good stewards of the donations and money and people give to the foundation.
Absolutely.
And so you feel very good that everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction and we understand where we need to go.
Makes a ton of sense. Rich, I know that your team right now is in the middle of determining scholarship awards for the fall. Tell us how that's shaping up.
It's going super well. We won't know our final numbers till probably mid-September. But look, right as of right now, we're trending toward a new record in terms of the numbers of kids we're going to help for this fall. It's definitely going to be a higher funding level. We did $8 million last year. It's going to be over that. We're already over that. So all I can say is, thank God for our donors. We couldn't do any of this stuff without them, and they've just been incredible. This has been our best. I've been here, I'm in my 10th year, 11th year. This is our year into June 30. It was our best year we ever had by a lot. And I attribute every bit of that to our donors and to God Almighty for making that happen.
Absolutely. So listen, Joe, it's a tough situation to walk into. So you're the new board chair. You're going to serve in that role for next 2 years. How do we grow this? What do you see for the future?
Yeah, well, I think for the future, we got to stay committed to increasing the number of kids coming to Catholic schools. And that's issue number one. And I think as Rich said, people understand the investment they're making in their children, the opportunities that are going to be available to them. It's a really good investment. So it's something we can sell and something that's really important for us to move forward. And then secondly, I think we got to continue to grow our endowment. The answer at CEF is always yes. And it would be great to grow that endowment to ensure that answer is yes forever. And I think that's got to be the key for us moving forward.
Okay, I want to ask you guys both this question. So both of you guys have been very successful in your business lives. I have a friend of mine he runs a large agency and he does a lot of hiring. And he says, listen, I can tell you in the first 2 minutes when I'm interviewing someone if they're a Catholic school kid or not. And it's not bagging, and this is not a Catholic school kid that I'm talking about. It's not bagging on public schools or anything else, but he goes, I can tell you in the first 2 minutes if they have had a Catholic school upbringing. Is that something you guys have seen in the past?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, look, all my professional career, which spanned about 35 years, I always, when we were hiring, okay, and we were going through the resumes and the whole 9 yards, we always looked, and I was at Humana for a long time, we always looked for Catholic school kids, always. And it was an amazing, and David Jones himself said this years and years ago, that he and Wendell built Humana into this powerhouse with all these Catholic school grads they hired. And I saw it firsthand early in my career at Humana. And I had so much success. The most success I ever had were hiring Bellarmine students.
Right.
Unbelievable. I mean, this little small college in the middle of Louisville, Kentucky has produced, besides Joe, a ton of really successful graduates all over the world.
Yeah.
And couldn't get my hands on them enough. Very devoted, hardworking, nose to the grindstone, just wonderful people that really sort of got the value proposition out of Bellarmine and transferred it to the workplace. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Joe, how about you?
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, I always remember telling people that if you went to a Catholic high school, make sure you put that on your resume because people understand what that means. And I think, to add on to what Rich said, I think the other thing that you see is people that know how to get along, know how to work with others, know how to tell the truth, know how to raise their hand when they did something wrong or made a mistake, and that's okay. We're going to get through it. And I think it's all those lessons that they have learned through their Catholic education that kind of sets them apart from just being, smart academically, but they also can do this other part as well.
What a great answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was impactful. Because,
Spot on.
Yeah, that was spot on.
Spot on.
All right, Rich, give us an update on where Catholic school enrollments will land when the schools reopen in August.
You know what? This will be prediction time. Our enrollments for the 4th year in a row will be up in our Catholic elementary schools, 4 years running. And I say that anecdotally because we talk to all the schools during the summer and this and that as we're helping kids get in. Almost more than half of the grade schools, if you look at their pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade classes, they're full already. They have a waiting list. I haven't seen that since maybe the early 90s. That's been a while. So the demand, what I call the entry-level demand for Catholic education is exploding. And that's just going to, over time, that's going to create more and more enrollments in our schools as those kids progress through the system. So 4 years running, I don't know how many other dioceses can say that across the United States. Probably not many.
I would agree.
So again, the partnership we've got with the schools, the school office, the foundation, our pastors, it's working. The formula is actually working, and we're enabling more and more kids to have this experience. It's awesome.
So, Joe, you and Kelly, you sent both of your 4 children to Catholic schools. How did that experience impact them?
Yeah, it was fantastic. All 4 of my kids went to St. Agnes. And then the boys obviously went to Trinity, and the girls headed off to Sacred Heart. The best thing about it, they had great teachers and staff that really supported them academically, but also spiritually. And they cared about them as individuals. And if they saw something going wrong, they would help them, or they would sometimes tell us, they'd say, hey, Junior needs a little help here.
Sure.
So that was great having that support there. And then I think, just kind of growing up in a faith-based community and being part of a parish did a lot for their development and is going to make them better people. It's going to make them better employees, and I think it's going to make them have happy and successful lives. So it was instrumental and a big advantage for them starting out.
Another great answer there. So, Joe, I mentioned earlier you're very involved in Trinity High School. Tell us how you're involved in what you're doing there.
Sure. Trinity is a special place for me. I have been on the foundation board now for a little over 17 years and lucky enough to be chairing that right now.
Wow.
So I'm very supportive of the mission there, to develop men of faith and men of character, and glad to play a part in that. And I'm also proud that, we take a very broad spectrum of kids at Trinity, and not just academically, but also financially. And, next year we'll be able to offer them about $3.9 million in financial aid. So it takes a lot of work and time, but I'm glad to be part of what Trinity is doing to impact the lives of so many young men.
Had a pretty good year athletically this year too. Crazy.
It's been a little fun this year. Yeah, it doesn't last forever, but you enjoy it while you can. Yes,
pretty awesome. But it's obviously a special place. And Rich, again, I kind of alluded this before. I've had a lot of friends shy away from the Catholic grade school experience because of how school the Catholic high school experience is. I know you've talked about plans to help more Catholic high school families in the future. What's that look like? Where do we stand?
Yeah, we're talking to the board about that sort of as we speak. We're in kind of the planning phase. And look, we've been around for 27 years, and we've done some awesome work long before I got here. And our momentum's really great today, but there's sort of a flaw in our strategy, and then we go through K through 8.
Yep.
And that's where most of our funding is. We do some high school funding, but it's only about 8% of the total, so it's not a lot. And we talk to more and more parents, the problem, that say, geez, I can kind of swing it at St. Stephen, or I could swing it at St. Agnes pretty much, but man, they get their calculator and go, man, I don't know if I can swing it at X or Sacred Heart or whatever. And we're not here to really help them with that piece of the puzzle, if that's the piece that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. In particular, if you go kind of across the community and look at Holy Cross, DeSales, Pres, and Mercy. Those 4 schools, which are very good schools, by the way, but they have the least amount of resources to provide scholarships. It's the
Right.
truth. So we see kids that want to go to those schools, that live in those neighborhoods. And usually the funding gaps may be anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a year per student. And nobody's got the money. The school puts up so much, the family puts up so much, and nobody else is at the table.
Nobody's meeting that gap.
Yeah, because if you think about an elementary school, we fill the gap right
Yep,
now. We
right.
fill a gap.
Yeah.
And
Major gap.
So I think in some of those communities, I think there's an opportunity to, again, particularly for the kids we're investing in today. So we go 9 years with a kid in grade school. He or she wants to go to Holy Cross. There's a $3,000 gap. They don't go. That's not a good answer. In other words, we invested our money for that family to grow in a Catholic community, then it's stopped.
Right.
It's stopped, sort of. And I think we got to carry the ball a little further somehow in the future. And look, I would say this. I mean, we want to be in the high school space. It won't be this fall. We want to grow the number of kids we're helping from last year's 3,700. We want to go to 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the math, the 5,000 is kind of important because that fills out your schools pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
The 39 schools that you have are going to be pretty full when you get to that level. And that's the fight we want to fight. And it's not without struggle. It's not without difficulty. And we can't do it without our donors. Can't do it. So we're going to continue to fight that fight. And again, grateful for Joe's leadership on the board. This is a big strategic issue for us.
Yeah.
And the board needs to really weigh in on that. But that's kind of where we're pointing.
Joe, do you want to weigh in on comment on that?
Yeah, it's clearly an issue, and we need to make sure that we're ready to we're prepared to step in the right way. It will be expanding sort of the role of the mission of CEF, so we want to make sure we do it in a thoughtful manner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we got the right guys at the helm to make it happen. So, I mean, if history tells us anything, I think we'll get this thing done. So, Joe, congratulations on your highly successful run at Kindred Healthcare. Now that you're retired from there, it seems like organizations like the Foundation and Trinity are keeping you pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy. I had a great run at Kindred. Loved being there. Was there for 25 years, but glad to have more free time now. Help out a little bit more on these Catholic education issues, and hopefully that'll help some more families be able to attend.
I know it's greatly appreciated. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for your deep commitment to the works of the Foundation and the Catholic education. What a difference maker you are, and you and your family are in this community. And as Rich, as every Catholic school family in need now knows, at the Catholic Education Foundation,
The answer is yes.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. We'll see you again next month for another great podcast.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.